Still to come, live from Paris. The White House has suggested a 20% import tax on goods from Mexico in a bid to fund Donald Trump's southern U.S. border wall. The president's insistence on Mexico paying for the controversial wall prompted his Mexican counterparts to cancel a planned meeting next week. Anka Ula brings us the latest on the diplomatic fallout.
In a game of diplomatic poker with the United States, Mexico has doubled down. After President Enrique Peña Nieto canceled a meeting with Donald Trump scheduled for Tuesday, Mexico's foreign minister sent a firm message to the U.S. president.
There are things that are not negotiable, things that cannot and will not be negotiated. The fact that it is being said that Mexico should pay for the wall is something that is simply not negotiable.
The White House said they plan to finance a wall on Mexico's border by levying a 20% import tax on Mexican goods. It's a strategy deemed dangerous by Trump's critics, who suggest it could stem U.S. economic growth if Mexico retaliates with its own levy.
With what Trump is promoting, we will all lose. Mexico loses, the United States loses, investors in corporate America, the whole world loses. That is not what we want. Nobody wants this.
Peña Nieto has faced intense pressure at home over his response to Trump's aggressive stance towards his country. His approval ratings nosedived after he hosted Trump during his campaign last year. The decision to skip Washington was met with skeptical praise.
I think it's okay that the president chose not to go because in the end, Donald Trump always...
Towards Rebecca Rossman has the details.
Fillon appeared on French television to reject accusations outright concerning money paid to his wife. He said she had been indeed his advisor for years and had been paid as a parliamentary assistant.
It was legal and completely transparent. She received a pay slip every month and declared her taxes. She was doing a job for me, a job that was crucial for my daily political work.
Fillon says his lawyer has filed evidence with the authorities. The former prime minister has also rejected accusations by a leading French satirical paper, which says the presidential candidate's wife was employed for a year and a half by a French literary magazine. Fillon says she acted as an advisor to the owner of the magazine, a billionaire and family friend, Marc Vedret de la Charrière.
She carried out work for him that he will show to officials, and I saw that work. I saw what she did.
Marc Vedret de la Charrière has confirmed Fillon's statement, but the magazine's editor says he's never met Penelope Fillon.
If the rules had been followed as normal, I would have ideally been informed about this. I wouldn't have had any objections if I'd been told. Marc Vedret de la Charrière could have said, Michael, I'm going to see Penelope Fillon to talk about our strategy. If he would have told me that, I would have said, okay.
Fillon says he'll remain the right candidate for the presidential race in spite of recent events. That is, unless he's charged.
Meanwhile, the fight to
Benoit Hamon is so confident of victory in the primary that he's already looking ahead to the next rounds. He told his supporters he embraces the Muslim nickname he says National Front activists have given him.
I want to say to those people who are supporting Marine Le Pen's campaign that I'll fight her into the second round if she's in it, or I'll fight her in the first round. I will look them in the eye and say I'm proud that they call me Bilal, as I'd also be proud if they call me Eli or David or whatever they want.
What I like about him is that even after these years, he has the same freshness and the same energy and a real desire to change things.
I personally need no more convincing. He's going to win. He's got to win.
Manuel Valls, meanwhile, knows he's got his work cut out for him. Trailing in the polls, he once again attacked the economic plans of his rival.
I refuse to promise just anything to win. I hold the left in too high esteem for me to crash it into the wall of reality. I refuse an inconsistent plan that makes lavish promises because he knows full well he'll never have to back them up.
Nadal's supporters, while united behind him, were divided over what they'll do if he loses on Sunday.
I'm a discipline activist, so I would vote for Armand even if I won votes.
If Armand goes to the second round, will you vote for him to be president?
No, even though I'm also from Brittany. But I don't know. His plans are too unrealistic.
For the former Prime Minister, there are only 2 days left to catch up.
EU Interior on the first country of arrival, notably Italy and Greece. Well, the lack of burden sharing among EU member states and the disjointed response to the migration crisis has appalled NGOs, warn that people will continue to lose their lives unless action is taken. Well, even when migrants make it ashore, the disjointed approach continues. Here in Paris, migrants and refugees have been sleeping rough, waiting for the long-promised welcome centres where their asylum application process is supposed to begin. Well, one such centre opened its doors at Porte-la-Chapelle in northern Paris amid criticism it was ill-equipped to deal with the influx. Our reporters went to investigate.
Their road to asylum begins here, in this bubble-like building in northern Paris. In this temporary shelter, some 50 single men are registered every day by volunteers.
We organise the paperwork by name and time slot.
Some are from Sudan or Eritrea, but most come from Afghanistan. John is one of them. He arrived in France 7 months ago after crossing Iran, Serbia, and Italy. Having slept outside for the past 3 nights, he's been welcomed in. His first step, the basics.
Can you ask him his last name, first name, and date of birth?
For 20 minutes away from the prying eyes of the camera, John told the social worker and translator his story and why he fled the war at home. With the first step in paperwork completed, volunteers lead John to his room. At first, they give him sheets, toiletries, and this yellow card. His pass to get in and out of the center. His room, or as they call it here, the cabin, he'll share it with 4 others, all of them from different parts of the world.
Our dream to come in France and stay here, so our target was France. But one day, if peace come to our country, we will go, of course. And first of all, I will try to learn the language, because it's very important.
Some 400 people are housed at the Paris temporary shelter every day. They stay between 5 to 10 days. And since it opened in November, 3,100 men have sought shelter here. The majority, some 2,400, were then welcomed in longer-term centers across.
The end of humanity is symbolically edging closer. That's according to a panel called the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. The group is famed for its doomsday clock, which informs the public on when the Earth could face imminent disaster.
The board takes the unprecedented step, the first time in its history, of moving the clock hand 30 seconds closer to midnight. Today we move the clock a half minute closer to midnight. It is now 2.5 minutes to midnight.
The bulletin includes intellectuals, scholars, and 15 Nobel laureates. They say the clock is now closer to midnight than it has ever been before. The group blamed US President Donald Trump's views on climate change for the shift.
The current political situation in the United States is of particular concern. The Trump administration needs to state clearly and unequivocally that it accepts climate change caused by human activity as reality. No problem can be solved unless its existence is first recognized. There are no alternative facts here.
Other factors contributing to the approaching apocalypse include increasing threats of nuclear warfare, cyber threats, and the rise in nationalism. This comes as thousands of people are mobilizing on social media to organize a march for science across the United States to oppose Donald Trump's policies and his denial of climate change.
And finally, France are within touching distance of the World Cup after qualifying for this weekend's finals. No, it's not the Football World Cup. That's still on course to be held in Russia next year. This is the Handball World Cup, and it's the hosts who head into this Sunday's final as favourites after Olympic champions Denmark and European champs Germany were knocked out earlier in the competition. So good luck to the French team. We'll be crossing our fingers and our hands to wish them luck. It's 16 minutes past 7 here in the French capital. Watching France 24, a quick reminder of the top stories. The US president ups the ante in his feud with Mexico, vowing to slap a 20% import tax on Mexican goods to pay for his border wall. And Gambian President Adama Barrow returns home to a hero's welcome, ready to assume office after being sworn in exile. Let's take you to some of the morning's